Listen to me before you decide who I am. People love simple stories. They see a wedding photo and think everything is solved. They think love arrived on time. They think safety is permanent. They think happiness is guaranteed. They do not see the nights that come after the smile. They do not hear the thoughts that stay awake. They do not feel the fear hiding behind a calm face. A marriage can look bright to the world and still feel like a cage inside your chest. It can look peaceful and still steal your breath when no one is watching. I did not choose this life with courage. I did not choose it with anger. I did not choose it with hope. I chose it in silence, because silence is not always surrender. Sometimes silence is strategy. Sometimes silence is protection. Sometimes silence is the only way to survive when every other door is closed. This is not a story about love at first sight. It is not about romance or destiny or perfect timing. It is about what happens to a woman when her world changes overnight and she has no time to prepare her heart. It is about the moment when running feels impossible and staying feels heavy but necessary. People like to believe that leaving is always strength, but they forget something important. Staying can also be brave. Staying can also be strong. Staying can mean choosing life when the cost is yourself. This is survival. Chapter 1. The night everything shifted. My name is Elena. Before that night, my life was simple, not easy, but clear. I woke up every day with one thought in my mind. I will study. I will become a teacher. I will change my life slowly. That idea followed me from morning until night. It gave shape to my days and meaning to my effort. We were not rich. My family was not powerful, but we were together, and that felt like enough. I helped my mother cook and clean. I guided my younger brothers when they argued or felt afraid. I studied at night when the house became quiet and the world finally slowed down. Books were my escape. Books were my hope. When I read, I forgot the debts. I forgot the tired faces at the table. I forgot how heavy the future sometimes felt. I believed dreams worked like a road, step by step. Slow, but real. Then one evening, the air changed. It was not loud. It was not sudden. It was heavy. My mother spoke less than usual. My father came home early and avoided my eyes. No one smiled. Even the walls felt tense. After dinner, they asked me. Chapter 1. The night everything shifted. My name is Elena. Before that night, my life was simple, not easy, but clear. I woke up every day with one thought in my mind. I will study. I will become a teacher. I will change my life slowly. That idea followed me from morning until night. It gave shape to my days and meaning to my effort. We were not rich. My family was not powerful, but we were together, and that felt like enough. I helped my mother cook and clean. I guided my younger brothers when they argued or felt afraid. I studied at night when the house became quiet and the world finally slowed down. Books were my escape. Books were my hope. When I read, I forgot the debts. I forgot the tired faces at the table. I forgot how heavy the future sometimes felt. I believed dreams worked like a road, step by step. Slow, but real. Then one evening, the air changed. It was not loud. It was not sudden. It was heavy. My mother spoke less than usual. My father came home early and avoided my eyes. No one smiled. Even the walls felt tense. After dinner, they asked me to sit with them. My heart started beating fast before I knew why. My mother held my hand. Her hand was cold, colder than usual. I asked, "What's wrong?" No one answered me at first. Silence filled the room and pressed against my chest. Then my father spoke. His voice was low and tired. "The money is finished," he said. "The crops failed again. The debts are growing." I listened quietly. I had heard money problems before. They were part of our life. I nodded and waited for the conversation to end. But then my mother spoke words I was not ready to hear. A man wants to marry you. My mind stopped working. The room felt far away. I asked her to repeat it, even though I heard her clearly. I said, no. I said, I'm only 18. I said, I want to study. I said, I'm not ready. I said it again and again, like repetition could protect me from reality. My voice sounded small, even to myself. My father finally looked up. His eyes were full of sadness, not anger. We have no other option, he said. He said the marriage could save the family. He said the man was from the city. He said the man was stable. He said my brothers would be safe. Tears fell before I could stop them. I whispered, but I don't even know him. My mother squeezed my hand. She said, his name is Alex. He is respectful. He is calm. He agreed to help. Each sentence felt like a door closing. I shook my head. My dream matters too, I said. My mother's voice broke when she answered. My dream mattered too, but my brother's future mattered more. That sentence cut deeper than any argument. That night, I went to my room and closed the door quietly. I sat on the floor and cried until my chest hurt. I touched my books like they could hear me. I whispered, I'm sorry. I felt angry at everyone. I felt scared of everything. I felt weak for not fighting harder. Then I heard my brothers laughing softly in the next room. The sound was warm and careless, and my anger faded. They trusted me. They looked up to me. I knew if I said no, they would suffer. That thought crushed me completely. By morning, I chose survival over dreams and certainty. Chapter 2. Married to a Stranger. The wedding day passed like a dream I did not want to see. I smiled because people expected it, and I nodded because there was no other option left for me. I wore a white dress my mother made with her own hands, every stitch filled with care and hope. It was beautiful, soft, and perfect to everyone watching, but inside me, nothing moved. No joy rose, no fear screamed. There was only a quiet emptiness sitting in my chest. Then I saw Alex standing at the front, waiting. He was serious and controlled, quiet in a way that felt practiced. He was Chapter 2. Married to a Stranger. The wedding day passed like a dream I did not want to see. I smiled because people expected it, and I nodded because there was no other option left for me. I wore a white dress my mother made with her own hands, every stitch filled with care and hope. It was beautiful, soft, and perfect to everyone watching, but inside me, nothing moved. No joy rose, no fear screamed. There was only a quiet emptiness sitting in my chest. Then I saw Alex standing at the front, waiting. He was serious and controlled, quiet in a way that felt practiced. He was not cruel, he was not kind. He was simply distant, like someone standing behind a closed window. When I said my vows, my voice trembled despite my effort to stay steady. When he spoke his voice was calm and even. That difference stayed with me, echoing long after the words ended. Saying goodbye to my family hurt more than the ceremony itself. My mother cried without sound, her face turned away as if hiding could make it easier. My father hugged me longer than usual, his arms tight, his breath heavy. My brothers held my hands and asked when I would come back. Their eyes searched my face for certainty. I had no answer to give them. When I stepped into the car beside Alex, silence wrapped around us immediately. He did not try to speak. I did not know what words were safe. My hands rested on my lap, shaking slightly with every turn of the road. I wanted to open the door and run back. I wanted to scream that I had changed my mind. But I stayed. I whispered inside myself, "This is the choice I made," again and again, like a prayer. When we reached the city, everything felt unfamiliar and too large. The streets moved faster than my thoughts. The buildings felt close and cold. Inside the house, a woman greeted us politely and showed me upstairs. She opened a door and said, "This is your room. Your room, not ours." That word settled in my mind like a stone sinking into water. The room was clean and quiet. My dress felt heavy on my body. My heart felt heavier. I sat on the edge of the bed and waited without knowing for what. That night, the door opened slowly. Alex stood there, his figure framed by the hallway light. He looked at me carefully. His eyes were serious, but not harsh. I held my breath, expecting something unknown and frightening. Then he spoke softly. "You are tired. You should rest." That was all he said. He turned and left, closing the door gently behind him. I sat there frozen, listening to the quiet. "That's it?" I asked myself. Relief washed through me, followed by confusion, then fear, all at once. In that silence, I realized I was married to a stranger, and I had entered a life where distance was the first language spoken. I did not know how to speak it yet, or how long it would take to understand its rules and weight. It felt colder than fear, quieter than sadness, and heavier than loneliness, pressing against me as the night stretched forward without answers. I lay back slowly, staring at the ceiling, wondering who I was becoming and how much of myself I would have to leave behind to survive. The city outside stayed awake while I closed my eyes, carrying a future that already felt distant and unfamiliar. Nothing inside me felt certain anymore tonight. Chapter 3: A Silence That Changed Shape. Days passed like this, slow and quiet, blending into each other without clear edges. Alex left early every morning, before the house fully woke. He returned late, when the rooms were already dark and still. We lived under the same roof, but not in the same life at all. I ate alone at a long table meant for many people. The food was fine, carefully prepared, warm and filling, but it tasted empty, like eating without hunger or purpose. I missed noise around me, small, careless sounds of family. I missed being asked simple questions and being needed. Silence filled the house and slowly settled inside my thoughts. Little by little, a dangerous idea formed in my mind. Maybe I am only here because of money. Maybe this marriage is not about me at all. That thought hurt more than loneliness ever had. It made me feel replaceable, like furniture quietly accepted. I began questioning my worth during long, silent evenings. Some nights I sat still, listening to my own breathing. I wondered if this quiet life would erase me completely. One night, I was holding a book near the window. The pages felt familiar and safe in my hands. Reading helped slow my thoughts and calm my chest. Alex walked in unexpectedly and stopped when he saw me. For a moment, neither of us moved or spoke. Then he asked, "Do you like reading?" His voice was calm, careful, without judgment or surprise. I nodded slowly and answered, "Yes." I added, "Books help me breathe." He paused, as if choosing his next step carefully. Without a word, he reached into his bag. He handed me another book, older and worn. "You might like this," he said quietly. Our fingers did not touch during the exchange, but something shifted between us in that moment. It was small, almost invisible, but deeply human. For the first time, silence did not feel empty. It felt like space rather than distance. After that night, I began leaving food for him. I placed it quietly on the table without questions. I never asked if he ate or liked it. In the mornings, I noticed the plate was empty. That simple detail stayed with me all day. The silence between us felt different afterward. It felt noticed, not ignored, careful instead of cold. One night, my courage finally reached my voice. I spoke honestly, without preparing the words. I don't know how to be a wife like this. My voice shook, and I looked down immediately. Alex did not respond right away or look away. He watched me for a long moment, thinking. Then he said quietly, "I don't know how to be a husband like this either." That sentence stayed inside me long after he spoke. In that moment, I understood something important. He was not ignoring me on purpose. He was not distant because he did not care. He was lost, just like I was, inside this life. Two strangers living inside one decision they did not fully understand. That realization softened something tight in my chest. That night, I slept with a little less fear. I slept with a little more understanding and patience. Nothing had changed on the outside of our lives, but inside me, silence had changed its shape. Chapter 4. Small Things That Spoke. After that, nothing dramatic happened. No big speeches, no movie moments, just small changes. A glass moved closer to my side, a book placed where I could reach it. Silence was still there, but it no longer felt like rejection. It felt careful. I started telling myself something important. Not every quiet moment means something bad. Sometimes people are quiet because they do not know how to speak. I understood that feeling very well. I had lived inside it for years without naming it. Silence had protected me before, and it was protecting him now. Days continued to pass slowly, without clear markers or sudden changes. We did not talk more, but we noticed more. The house felt less heavy in the evenings. Small details began to matter in quiet ways. He placed his keys in the same spot every night. I left the light on for him without thinking. Nothing was explained, yet something was understood. One evening, I cooked dinner and waited. I did not expect him to sit with me. I did not expect conversation or eye contact. I only hoped he would eat. The food grew colder as minutes passed. I told myself not to be disappointed. Waiting felt familiar, like an old habit returning. When he walked in, I stayed still. He washed his hands quietly and sat down. He did not say a word at first. My hands shook slightly as I held my fork. We ate slowly, listening to the sound of plates. The silence was thick, but not painful. It felt shared, not empty or sharp. After a few minutes, he spoke softly. "You do not have to wait for me." His voice was calm, not warning or cold. I looked up, surprised by my own courage. I answered honestly, without thinking too much. "I do not mind waiting," I said. He nodded once and continued eating. That was all he offered that night. No explanation followed, and none was needed. Something warm spread quietly through my chest. The moment stayed with me long after dinner ended. I realized then that waiting could mean different things. Before, waiting meant fear and uncertainty. Waiting meant being forgotten or left behind. Now, waiting felt like a decision I was making. It felt like patience instead of weakness. It felt like staying present instead of disappearing. Healing did not arrive as a sudden feeling of happiness. It arrived quietly, through repeated small moments. It arrived when silence stopped hurting and started holding space. I began to breathe easier inside this life. I stopped expecting answers and started accepting time. Trust did not rush toward me, but it did not run away. Each day, I felt a little less afraid. Each night, I slept a little deeper. Nothing about our life looked romantic or exciting, but something steady was slowly growing between us. It was built from respect, patience, and restraint. It was built from choosing not to turn away. I learned something important during those quiet days. Love does not always speak loudly or arrive suddenly. Sometimes love whispers through ordinary actions. Sometimes it shows up as consistency and care. Sometimes it is simply staying when leaving would be easier. In that waiting, I found strength I did not know I had. In that silence, I found a voice slowly forming. It did not demand attention or certainty. It only asked me to stay open. And for the first time since my life changed, I did. I stayed present at the table. I stayed present in the quiet rooms. I stayed present with him and with myself. Healing did not fix everything, but it made space for something new to grow. That space felt safe enough to remain. It was enough for now, and I allowed it. Slowly, gently, I chose to stay. This choice did not erase my past pain, but it taught me how to carry it without breaking inside myself daily.
Chapter 5. When Fear Found a Voice. I thought I was healing. I truly believed the worst had passed and that my heart was learning how to rest again. But fear does not leave quietly. It does not say goodbye or explain itself. Fear waits. It hides in the body and listens for silence. One night, without warning, my chest felt tight for no clear reason. The air felt heavy as if it could not reach my lungs. My hands would not stop shaking no matter how hard I tried to calm them. I told myself I was safe, but my body refused to believe me. Memories came back without permission. My parents' faces appeared clearly in my mind. I heard my brothers' voices calling my name. I saw the night I said yes, the moment my future changed. The room felt smaller as each memory arrived. I sat in the living room, holding my arms close to my chest, trying to breathe slowly. I counted my breaths the way I used to count pages while studying. Nothing helped. Fear filled every quiet space inside me. Alex noticed before I said anything. He did not rush toward me or touch me suddenly. He did not ask questions that needed answers. He stayed where he was and watched carefully. His calm presence felt steady, not demanding. After a moment, he spoke softly. "You look scared." That single word broke me. Tears rolled down my face before I could stop them. My shoulders shook as the fear finally found its way out. "I don't know why," I whispered. My voice felt thin and weak. "Some nights I feel like everything will disappear again." Saying it out loud made the fear real. Alex moved closer, but not too close. He respected the space I needed to breathe. "Talk to me," he said quietly. "I'm here." His words did not try to fix anything. They only offered presence. Then I said the truth I had been hiding, even from myself. "I'm scared that one day you'll regret choosing me." The room fell silent. My heart beat loudly in my ears as I waited. Alex did not look away. He studied my face carefully, as if he was choosing honesty over comfort. "I'm scared too," he said. His answer surprised me. "Scared of what?" I asked, barely above a whisper. "That I don't always know how to protect the people I care about," he replied. For the first time, fear was shared. It was no longer something I carried alone in the dark. It sat between us, open and visible. My breathing slowly began to return to normal. The shaking in my hands eased. I still felt fragile, but I did not feel isolated. That night, fear lost some of its power. It did not disappear, but it no longer controlled the room. I understood then that healing was not about fear leaving forever. It was about being seen while fear spoke. Chapter 6. Standing when it hurt the most. I believed fear was the hardest thing I would ever face. I truly believed that surviving my own panic and doubt was the greatest test of my strength. I was wrong. Fear was quiet and personal. This pain arrived loudly and demanded everything from us. One evening, Alex came home looking different. Not tired, not quiet, broken. His shoulders were heavy, his steps slow, as if the ground itself was pulling him down. He sat without speaking, staring at nothing. I waited because I had learned that silence sometimes needed time. After a long moment, he finally spoke. Someone I trusted betrayed me. His voice was flat, almost empty. He did not need to explain who. I already felt the weight of it. His business partner, his friend, someone he had built years with. Over the next days, the truth unfolded, piece by piece. Accounts did not make sense anymore. Papers were missing. Meetings were filled with half-truths and quiet lies. Each discovery cut deeper than the last. Alex tried to stay calm, but I could see the pressure crushing him from the inside. At night, he blamed himself. I failed, he said more than once. I should have seen it. His words were filled with shame, not anger. I looked at him and answered honestly. You trusted someone. That is not failure. But shame is heavy. It does not listen to reason. It grows louder when the world is watching. People whispered when we entered rooms. Some avoided us. Some looked at me differently, like I was already making plans to leave. One woman spoke directly to me one afternoon. When a man falls, the wife usually leaves, she said, as if it were a rule written somewhere. I felt anger rise in my chest, hot and sharp, but I stayed calm. Then they do not know what marriage means, I replied. My voice did not shake, but my hands did. That night, I cried alone, not because of her words, but because I knew Alex heard worse every day. He carried those judgments silently, adding them to his already heavy load. The stress changed him. He slept less, he ate without noticing the food. He stared at documents until his eyes were red. One night, his body finally gave up. Alex collapsed from exhaustion in the hallway. For a moment, fear took over me completely. I panicked. I called for help. I stayed beside him, holding his hand, refusing to let go. Sitting there, listening to his uneven breathing, something became very clear to me. I loved him, not because he was strong, not because he could provide or protect, but because he was human, standing in front of his own breaking point. When he opened his eyes, tears rolled down his face without shame. I thought I would lose everything, he whispered. His voice sounded smaller than I had ever heard it. I leaned closer and answered without hesitation. You still have me. Those words were not dramatic. They were not romantic. They were simply true. In that moment, roles shifted between us. I was no longer the one being saved. I was the one standing. Recovery was slow. So was healing. The business problems did not disappear overnight. Some losses could not be undone. But Alex changed. He stopped trying to prove himself to everyone. He stopped chasing control. He began choosing peace where he could find it. And through that crisis, something solid formed between us. We argued, we disagreed, but we never walked away. I learned then that love is not tested during happy days. It is tested when everything feels like it might fall apart. And standing there, beside him in his lowest moment, I knew one thing for certain. Whatever came next, we would face it together.
Chapter 7. The Dream That Waited. After that crisis, life did not become perfect. It became honest. The silence in our home changed again, not into distance, but into space where truth could exist. One quiet night, while we sat in the living room with no lights except the small lamp, Alex spoke without looking at me. I see how much you gave up, he said. His voice was calm, but the words landed heavily. No one had ever said that to me before. My throat felt tight, and for a moment I could not speak. Then I whispered, I lost the future I imagined. Saying it out loud felt like opening an old wound I had kept covered for years. Alex turned toward me and looked carefully, as if he wanted to understand every part of that loss. Then he said, "Then let's imagine a new one." He did not say it loudly. He did not promise anything, but that sentence stayed with me for days, moving quietly through my thoughts. It followed me into the mornings and waited with me at night. For the first time, my dream did not feel like a ghost from the past. It felt like something still breathing. Slowly, carefully, I started studying again. Not loudly, not proudly, quietly, like protecting a small flame from the wind. I did not tell anyone. I did not make plans. I opened books late at night when the house was still. I read slowly, sometimes repeating the same page because my mind wandered. At first, fear sat beside me, fear of failing, fear of remembering who I used to be. But I kept going, one small step at a time. Some nights I closed the book and cried softly, not from sadness, but from the weight of returning to myself. Other nights I felt something I had not felt in a long time: focus, curiosity, hope. Alex noticed without asking. He saw the books on the table. He saw the notes written in small handwriting. He did not interrupt or question me. He simply adjusted his schedule, coming home a little earlier, making the evenings quieter. One evening, while we sat together, I finally asked the question that lived inside me. "Do you think it's too late?" My voice shook despite my effort to sound calm. Alex answered without hesitation, "No." The certainty in his voice surprised me. He added, "Dreams don't expire." Tears filled my eyes and I looked away quickly. "I'm scared," I admitted. "What if I fail?" He replied calmly, "Then we fail forward." His words did not remove my fear, but they made it lighter. For the first time in years, I felt permission to try again. Not to be perfect, not to prove anything, just to move. I realized that my dream did not disappear when I married Alex. It waited. It learned patience the way I did. It changed shape, becoming quieter and stronger. As I studied, memories returned. My teachers' voices, my notebooks, the girl who believed learning could change her life. This time, those memories did not hurt. They motivated me. One night, Alex asked, "What did you learn today?" I smiled without thinking. I explained a simple idea, speaking slowly like a teacher. He listened carefully and nodded. "You explain things clearly," he said. That small praise felt larger than applause. It felt real. I felt like myself again, not the girl who survived, but the woman who was becoming. I understood something important then. My life did not pause when everything changed. It took a different path, a harder one, but not a broken one. I was not returning to an old dream. I was building a new version of it, shaped by loss, courage, and patience. For the first time since my life shifted, I did not feel trapped between who I was and who I could be. I felt movement again, and that was enough to keep going. Chapter 8, Where I Finally Belonged. The day I received my teaching confirmation, my hands shook as I read the message again and again. There was no loud reaction, no sudden joy, no moment where everything exploded into celebration. I simply sat there in silence and let the truth settle inside my body. The room felt still, almost sacred, as if the moment needed quiet to be real. Alex noticed my silence and looked up from where he was sitting. "Is it good news?" he asked gently. I nodded slowly, afraid my voice might break if I spoke too fast. "I did it," I whispered. The words felt fragile but solid at the same time. He did not clap or smile widely. He did not shout or laugh. He simply looked at me and said, "I knew you would." That calm confidence meant more to me than any celebration ever could. Later that night, after the house grew quiet again, I finally told him the fear I had carried for years. "I was afraid my life would always feel borrowed," I said. The sentence had lived inside me for so long that speaking it felt strange. Alex looked at me carefully, without rushing to answer. Then he said, "It's not borrowed anymore. It's yours." Those words wrapped around my heart gently, like something warm placed there on purpose. I felt a release I did not know I was still holding. In that moment, something settled inside me for good. I realized then that belonging is not about place. It is not about the house you live in or the city you call home. Belonging is not about the past you come from or the choices that shaped you. Belonging is being accepted as you are becoming, not as you were. It is feeling safe enough to grow without fear of being left behind. I belonged not because my life was perfect, but because it was honest. I called my parents that night with trembling hands. When my mother answered, I said softly, "I'm okay." She cried immediately, the sound filled with relief and love. My father stayed quiet for a long moment, the way he always did when emotions became heavy. Then he said, "You sound strong." That sentence reached deep inside me and healed something I had carried since the night everything changed. I was no longer the girl who sacrificed her dream in silence. I was someone who had found her voice again. After that, Alex and I talked late into the night, not about the past, but about what might come next. Simple things. Shared mornings, quiet dinners, growing older together without fear. I realized love had not arrived as fire or excitement. It arrived as warmth. It stayed. It grew slowly, like trust. I looked at him and said, "I don't feel scared anymore." He answered, "Neither do I." That was our peace. I often think about the girl I used to be, the one who believed strength meant never breaking. I wish I could tell her something important. Breaking does not mean failing. It means making space for something new. I did not get the life I planned. I got the life that taught me who I really am. And standing there, finally at home within myself, I knew that was enough.
If you are listening and you feel lost, remember this: your story is not finished yet. Feeling lost does not mean you failed. It means you are still searching, still learning, still alive inside your own journey. Even if the road feels unfair, and even if your dreams feel far away, they are not gone. They are waiting for you to be ready again. Stay where you are for a moment. Breathe slowly. Let your chest rise and fall. Give yourself permission to pause without quitting. Growth does not always look like progress. Sometimes growth looks like rest, patience, and choosing not to give up. You do not need to have all the answers today. You do not need to be strong every moment. You only need to keep going, one small step at a time. Small steps still move you forward. If this story touched your heart, support it in simple ways. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who might need these words today. And if you feel comfortable, comment below which chapter felt most real to you and why. Your voice matters here, and your story deserves to be heard too, today.